Hello everyone, this is Asrar Ali, Research Fellow at the Emergency Medicine Department. Today we are going to talk about writing a rationale of your study or project. At this point, I'm assuming that you have done extensive literature review, you have written your background, and you have all the literature, and you have identified the gap and all the important points that has been done in the topic that you're doing the research. So let's move into the rational. It is always good to start with definitions. So what is rational? So rational is usually defined as giving reasoning and justification for your actions or what you have done and why you're doing something. So overall, rational is justifying and giving reasons and mainly focusing on the why you're doing something and what is the purpose of doing that thing. Overall, this thing comes under the umbrella of rational, where you give enough reasons, you give enough justification that whatever you're doing is worth doing, and you give enough statement for that. So it is a collection of a statement of purpose and significance and why you're doing it. And usually it fills a gap or fills a need. Okay. So this is very important where you mention that this is important because you're trying to give an answer to a question that has not been done the way that it should have been done. Okay. Or you're trying to fill a gap. So remember that here it is not a good idea to simply state that you're doing this research because this thing has not been done before, or this study has not been done in Pakistan or on it, or in your local setting. So this sentence are not enough. Here, what your purpose should be to give specific reasons, specific justification, and really focusing on the why part. That the point that you're doing is important to answer a particular gap, a particular problem. Okay, so there are many ways to do how to provide a rational. There can be a whole bunch of things, but today we are going to focus on a very simple model, which is called problem-solution-rationale. Right. So in this model, you're trying to give the rational statement in a context. Okay, so the context is that first you need to clearly state that what the problem is. You've defined this in your background and overall, but here you're kind of emphasizing that the problem requires attention, and clearly mention that what the solution is, second state, and then state your rational or justification for the solution. Here you really need to focus that why this solution, why this particular solution. Okay, so you mentioned the problem and then you stated the solution, and now the real goal is to justify, to give some reasons, to give specific points that why this solution is important, that you're trying to present. Okay, let's take an example. It's always good idea to give examples because it makes it more simple. All right, so here the problem is that children with sepsis get delayed standard treatment in the emergency department, right? And then you're giving the solution is implementing an AI system for early recognition followed by goals directed treatment of sepsis within 1 hour is associated with improved outcomes. Right, so see the model. You stated the problem. What is the problem? The problem is that children with sepsis are getting delayed treatment, or they're getting there is a delay in recognition and overall management of the sepsis patients in the emergency department. And the solution that you're trying to give here is that you want to implement an AI system in the triage counter or overall in the care process, so that the care process could be expedited, or it should be like it should be integrated in the care process. Right, so now the most important point where you want to give justification that why particularly AI is the solution in this problem. Right, so you can give some justification. Right, it will not be a good idea saying that it is a new thing and it has not been done before. These things are not usually a good solution, right? So you want to give a specific reason and justification. For example, you can mention that integrating AI system in the triage system would be creating an automatic alert system, and this alert system can be seen by the team of EDL care providers. Since it is in the system, so it is automatic and it is decreasing the cognitive burden on the healthcare providers, especially the triage nurse. The triage nurse doesn't need to pay a good amount of attention on looking towards the signs of sepsis, because it is already integrated in the system. It decreases the cognitive burden on the triage nurse. And you can also mention that it decreases the chances of missing patients, because it is already integrated in the system, and every patient or pediatric patient has to go through the triage process, and there are less chances to miss these patients. And the another justification that you can give is that it can augment physician's judgment, right? So here you're trying to give this justification that this AI system is not going to replace the physician's judgment, but it would be a supplementary kind of support in the system to recognize sepsis. So this model, remember, where you're mentioning problem, you're giving the solution, and then most important, you're justifying the solution, that why this problem can be answered with this specific solution that you're trying to study, you're trying to present, right? Most importantly, language is very important in writing, right? So you want to use language that represents rational, okay? Like because, for example, you can say that sepsis is highly associated with mortality because it has multi-organ thing, right? So you can justify this kind of thing. And then another example is in order to, for example, you can say that in order to decrease mortality, we have to improve the processes of managing sepsis, right? There's other language that's as so that, and then another thing can be therefore. For example, therefore, patients are getting missed during triage. Therefore, we are integrating this AI system to supplement or to augment the processes. And there can be a lot of other language where it indicates that you're trying to say the rational. You can use the reason this was done, or the reason that we have chosen AI is because of A, B, C. Or you can say that we are giving this solution, we are trying to study this for the following reasons, right? So remember, using language particularly that indicates that you're going to talk about the rational, you're going to justify your solution. This language is also very important. But remember, the last and most important thing, which is very important, is that you need to uh, take some break, go out and really ask yourself. This is a self evaluation. Ask yourself, have I answered, or have I explained enough why why I'm doing this study? That is very important. If you have clearly articulated this statement, why you're doing this, why it is important, you have provided a good rationale. So I hope this will help you, and we will discuss in detail in the class. Thank you very much for listening.